Wow, oh wow, oh wow, wow. That's all I can pretty much say at this point is just a bunch of wows because you guys spoke up and they listened, and looks like bye-bye to Aster. Well, not bye-bye to Aster, saying that, Aster was banned, but pretty much completely changed. And also Accelerator was hit as well, and then at the end of it we have some Jolly stuff in there, but we're gonna maintain the two main points that's been causing so much issues from the US to the Philippines to Dubai. So let's go ahead and dive into just a little bit, and towards the end of the video I will go ahead and give some of my personal thoughts about it, but I'm gonna go ahead and paraphrase this. I don't want to read everything, but since released Equilibrium, two cards that sparked more discussion, debate than any others, which was Alpha Aster of Set, which is the new contender in set 5, as well as Accelerator of sorts, which is the contender weapon that was introduced in set 5. So you do not know what they did before. So these two cards was, Aster is kind of the Alpha Clash's first toolbox deck, where when you play any Harbinger and or Alpha card that matches one of the 5 colors, Aster allows you to get an extra trigger enter and do phenomenal skills. The first backlash came when there was mentioning of a infinite loop that allowed you to loop cards over and over again, and then that changed to looping, just basically you can loop any kind of card. Then the next thing was dealing with Accelerator, which allows you to get more resources than your opponent can. They'll be able to play out anything you want from your hand at any given time with no real consequences. Next up, it just from everywhere it was going, it caused nothing but issues upon issues upon issues. Again, where a lot of players were very upset. A lot of players didn't want to compete in tournaments anymore. A lot of players were very vocal here and there about what they didn't like, what they did like. And so all this feedback took account, and it looks like Rising Empire went out and dropped some major changes for these cards. So first thing is the errata is the portal's open, the contender gets +1 -1. That's still the same. And then now it is once per turn. During your primary phase, you may engage the contender. If you do, the next alpha symbol or Arbiter symbol non-token clash card into play. And it gets all the same effects here. So this part here did not change, but that once per turn is huge. So you can no longer just keep playing out cards, getting all these triggered effects. You can do it once per turn. Again, like I said, I'm gonna leave some of the opinions towards the end of the video, but I'm gonna speak on this one now. I do feel with the somewhere cards going into nationals, which is in the next month, Aster as a contender, let's be honest, comes almost unplayable, because I can just negate your trigger enter and then you won't get any of these special skills. So do I see Aster now being a threat in your guys' nationals? I barely see this card being played now. If I'm being completely honest, from my own personal opinion, I don't see this card being played. Yes, you could try to trick your opponent. You could, play a black card, green card, and then they'll negate the trigger and you'll follow up with something else. But essentially, the biggest thing that made Aster so good is pretty much gone now. So I don't see it being really played in your somewheres and your nationals. So you'll be kind of good to go from there. Interesting choice of rat of the card instead of reprint distributed somewhere. I'll get into that one towards the end of the video. But then the card that I feel, so again, this is Alpha Aster and his old glory. So again, this is going to be reprinted. I'm not sure if, we'll get a reprinted card coming up soon. So again, Garrett just said card is being reprinted in product this summer. So again, this summer, you'll get a new version of this card. All right, and then Accelerator source, basic keywords here. The errata helps dial back the overwhelming efficiency of Accelerator loops while keeping the core excitement of its design. Okay, so what it has changed to is once per turn during your primary phase, you may engage and attach Accelerator of sorts. Wait, did I read that right? Attach Accelerator once per turn during your primary phase, you may engage, attach Accelerator. Okay, so if I'm reading this correctly, you no longer engage Aster, you engage Accelerator. If you do, put target alpha symbol or clash card you control into a resource zone engage. If you do, you may reveal an alpha symbol or harbinger clash card without unravel from your hand. There's an initial resource cost less than or equal to the target card. So no longer is this card in your deck. It has to be played out from the hand. Now, I'm reading this card, and I'm not sure if this is right, but if it is, essentially you could pretty much play Accelerator, depending on how many cards in your hand and resources, multiple times. Because how this card is written, it says once per turn during your prime phase, you may engage attach accelerator. So I can engage the accelerator, detach the accelerator, play a new accelerator, and do it again. I'm not sure if that was the intention, but as this errata is here, that is pretty much what you can do is play it, attach it, engage accelerator, detach it, attach a new accelerator, and pretty much do that skill again. So again, I'm not sure if any of the developers or anything are watching, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this: if this is how this card is, I'm gonna 100% find a way to break this before the end of the week. But that's just me. Again, if that's how it's written, then that's how it is. I can just detach it, attach a brand new one, and then do the skill again. Since I'm not engaging the contender, I'm engaging the accelerator. So Garrick said, Desmoy won't shut off enter effects of clash cards. If the card comes to play via accelerator, enter for the player counter. If he's unplayable, you just... Okay, and then we have Zhao Li. This errata, again, this is just adding a little bit more text into this one, which is we kind of knew that Zhao Li was going to get hit when we have some things coming in here. So the first time a non-relic accessory is played or set into your surface zone, each turn clash cards, you get +1/+1 to start your next turn. I feel this ability is still so strong. I love Zhao Li so much, especially if you have an Earth-based deck, which again, I love how cards are more focusing on this part of the card. So again, I feel like this card is just amazing in general. And then when you activate a non-ambush trap card, draw a card. So ambush will not proc her skill. So again, it's just strictly when you activate a trap. All right, perfect. So I did get confirmed from Garrett that this is how it's supposed to go. So again, if you want to go ahead and deplete your hand to get resources and play out more cards, you definitely can. So again, I still feel that's really, really dope. Accelerator is still good, which also I think also people who went out and bought any IRs, it's changed enough, but not enough where it devalues your IR. So again, the card is still very, very strong. Even in Des Moines, Aster, again, is still strong. It can be negated a lot easier since you're not able to really just keep spamming those. But I do feel after nationals, your nationals, it still could be a really good deck. Zhao Li, Moxie, let's go. Yeah, Zhao Li is so amazing. And I definitely want to speak a little bit more on Zhao Li and just how good this card truly is. Like, I know when it first came out, it was +1/+1. It was no indication when it would end. I still think giving cards +1/+1 to the start of your next turn is still so strong because you could have cards that are offensive and defensive, and they have nice bodies of them. I love rogues. I love cards like Detroit, which automatically gives a buff to the defense. Or if you want to go ahead and go Denver, now I'm very aggressive. Again, Zhao Li is, for me, probably one of the best epics that is deserving of that epic slot because it's really, really good and really, really versatile. All right, so reading the rest of this form, we know chain like this can be disruptive. We also believe they're necessary to maintain long-term health and balance Alpha Clash. These cards were ambitious. We're proud of the team who built the ideas behind them. But, water. But we're even more proud of being students willing to evolve and adapt when needed. If you're a player who voiced concern, thank you. If you've been testing Theorycraft or just trying to understand how these pieces fit, thank you. All three of these erratas are effectively melee as reflected in CR 5.2. Additionally, all of these cards will be printed soon in Draft Box 2 next to the power with the updated text. So that's actually really good. So again, when Draft Box 2 come out, you will get reprinted of these cards. As always, we have for a head. Now, my question is this: will we get the IR, or will it just be a regular epic for the reprints? And will they be foiled or not foiled? But again, if we don't get like an IR, you know, you can just keep a copy of the errata on you. But again, with accelerators pretty much changed is that you don't have to engage your contender, and the card comes from your hand instead of from the deck, which again is still very, very powerful. So I said, and that's why I said before, like a card like Give and Take, where it allows you to draw 2 and discard 2, you can really filter your hand to get your swap pieces and maybe play those swap pieces out from hand to get observant. So again, it's like how before you kind of just ending your turn on these cards, but you can end your turn on very powerful cards like Kagan is a very good one, or I love ending on the 6 cost of death. I think a different art altogether. It can definitely be a different art altogether. Again, I love the IR art so much. Like, I am such a fan of it. You have not seen the All right, let me go see if I can find it on TCG Player, and we'll do like a small kind of, you know, while we're here on TCG Player, we can definitely take a look at Equilibrium and see how the set is doing on the secondary market. Okay, so this is the iconic art for Accelerate. And again, this is some of my favorite art right now. Like, this card is bonkers amazing. I love this. Like, I am in love with this art. And I would say if you have iconic arts of Accelerator Swords, no matter what, you can play this card. And, you know, no matter what, you need to have the text anyways. So I think that's actually kind of cool right there. That is Accelerator Swords alternate art. So again, even we get new art for it, having 3 arts, you won't hear me complain. Accelerator Swords, I don't really see this card dropping in value at all. So again, right now, you know, you have House of Cards selling for about $11. Honestly, I would say jump on that. I didn't think I even had any in stock still, but I would 100% jump on buying these now. Because again, it's a card that is just going to be very, very good going forward with any kind of Aster cards. Again, as more Harbingers or Alphas come out, it's just going to be a good card to play. And then Zhao Li, anything with Earth is going to be amazing as well. But no, I guess my closing thoughts on it, you know, you still have time to update your decks for your nationals in your area. So that's the thing, you really don't, is you have time. Yes, you may have to crunch or discard what you were working on, but honestly, when you think about it, you really don't. You had to maybe focus on more of the draw aspect of looking at different cards that draw you more, because you want those cards that you flow into to be in your hand aside from your deck. I still think having cards as one-offs for different tech pieces will still be very good to have. But if you want, you know, more consistent build, you want more thing you're doing, having 4 copies in the deck is still good. That way you're for sure drawing into it. This card is cheaper in the US than PH prices. Most cards are twice as much price wise. Oh yeah, that one I won't be able to speak on at all. I am bad when it comes to conversion rates. But I still think you have enough time. You have enough, I want to say, foresight to really look at your decks again. And I said, maybe tweak a couple things. Again, like the changes, the erratas here are not extremely bad. It's the biggest thing. They're not just insanely bonkers. It handles a couple different issues I know you can't do the quote unquote infinite loop as much anymore. You can still loop cards back into your deck with using green to put them second to the top, and you can draw into them again. And I feel as though Aster can change more into a heavy looping of action cards, which may be a lot more fun. So like I have a build for Flare where I am using Supernova, and I can definitely show that off really fast before I end this stream. All right, so what I built, this is something that I just built. This way, this is not it. Hold on, this is not it either. All right, I found it. Sorry about that. But this is a deck that I built. This is basically Aster with Flare. And I mainly built this deck around getting out Supernova very quickly and using cards like Here Comes the Boom mixed with Torque. So instead of like what I would do different, like me personally, I don't think I would even change this deck really. I would almost, I pretty much would keep it the exact same. Maybe take down one of 5 cost flares and put in a War Second Horseman. But my entire strategy with this deck, this version of the deck, was using Stroking Flames to create Nova tokens. My initial idea for Aster counter red, blue, green Genesis with Boom for removal. See, and that's another thing. Genesis, I feel like Genesis can get back in the talk of meta discussion because Genesis never fell off. Genesis never stopped being a good deck. It was just that the focus shifted to Aster, and Genesis to me will always be an amazing blue deck for how much it can resource, and then the fact that your resource is your hand, and anything can come out at any time. You can have something come out from the resource, you have something come out from the hand, you have something come out from the trap area. You never know where something's coming out, where yes, Aster can just play from the deck, but it doesn't really have that, okay, if I attack and do this, what's going to happen to me kind of feel to it. And so this is something that, again, I built. Again, it's just very fun. And with the new accelerator, for me to go and play around with my Stoking Flames, it just has to be in hand. So again, I could play one, create 2 red no tokens, attack with it, use accelerator, put in my resource, play another one, create 2 more supernovas. Now I have 4. And again, I'm really powering up for this one. And then if I want to go ahead and play out the Torques, have them sit there, hit a boom, boom goes away, play a Cunning Planner, grab the boom again, do it again. Like that. That's how this whole deck was built. And this was my idea of how to counter Aster if I was going to play Aster, is just burn them down. Because one thing about Aster's biggest weakness in this current meta that I feel like a lot of people were not paying attention to, Aster cannot handle non-clash damage. Where with Genesis, you're more leery because, you know, you get them to 15, now their cards are 20 times cheaper. Where Aster, since he's always on go, he cannot handle an onslaught of non-clash damage. He can't handle things like Flare burning up the board. Flare pinging for a damage every single turn. A nice well-timed Supernova burns Aster apart. And then even things like Here Comes the Boom and classic Torque combos, where again with Accelerator, I can play my Stalking Flame, get to my 7 tokens, just sit on that for a while, Flare into Torque, play another Torque, Here Comes the Boom. There is my 12 damage. If I throw one out, there's my 18. You know, it just keeps progressing and going. And then maybe use your greens to put these back in there. It's fun. Aster is still fun for people who are strictly on Aster, who are scared that any kind of rattles or bans would get rid of it. Aster is still fun. It's just more in check, and you have to do a little bit extra to get it off. But right now, again, I tell everybody before, I think set 5 is the best set that's came out for Alpha Clash. I truly feel that the meta is in a great place because we actually have a meta now. You have things you could talk about. People are talking about how to deal with meta decks, and I never feel that's a problem. I come from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! There's always 3 decks that are always played. People like it, people don't. Some people show up, some people don't show up. I don't find having a defined meta bad. It's not a bad thing. It just makes it where when those non-meta decks do win, it's a bigger moment to talk about. Like if you went to an event where everybody's playing Aster and you won with Paul, people are going to talk about you as the winner playing Paul, then they are going to talk about the 8 people playing Aster. That's just how card games work, and that's the way I see it. But let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are. If you watch this video later, let me know. I'm still going to play Aster. I'm still going to have fun with it. And I hope everyone else plays Aster, and I hope everyone finds a way to play more Zhao Li, because that card is so amazing. And shout out to Discarded. Shout out to the Philippines. Shout out to Dubai. Shout out to the US. This is Ryotin. I was prepping an Aster deck based on your videos. Yo, Genesis, you know what? I will show off a Genesis build. 1 second before I go. I almost did my outro. And this is a Genesis build that I think I did this while I was bottle feeding at this time. So it's not even like fully optimized, but this is just me going, oh, cool. I'm gonna add these 2 cards to Genesis and I'm good to go. And like I said, Genesis is still fun. Like Genesis is still a very fun deck. Like cards like just, Disrupting Presence is so strong because it prevents damage and you can negate another Clash card's effect. Like to me, like I know people love Lefties on the Way. I feel if you're playing Genesis, this is the best card in the game. And again, it could come from my resource, it can come from my hand. You can't see it coming. And if you're at 15 and this card's in my resource, I play it for 1. And I can negate your attack and then negate one of your Clash cards effects. So if you're trying to go, oh, I'm gonna hit you with a bunch of flights, I'm going to negate your flight. And I, again, or what I did before was I negated Lone Fighter and had it crash into my Lin. And it was so funny to watch because they're like, oh, it's 8/8. I'm like, no, it doesn't have an effect anymore. It's a 4/4 vanilla. And it's so much fun. Also, the new Genesis, when it's played from the resource, you draw a card. Granted, with Desmoy out there, yeah, it can be negated. But the cool thing about Genesis has such low trigger enter skills on a lot of their cards, where if you negate this, that's fine. But now you just wasted your turn. I can go ahead and activate the portal. Again, 5 cost Genesis still good. Mean Streak is good. Oppressor is still amazing. Shocking Revelation is great. Again, like from Life to Death is probably one of my favorite cards in the game. Grasp of Power is a nice tech card to have against those low cost weapons. So again, this one hits Accelerator and it's a quick, so I don't have to wait for Magnate's plan. As soon as you attack me, which you're going to do with an Aster, I can just get rid of your Accelerator right then and there. And yeah, I can play this from my hand. I can play it from my resource. So you can either see it coming or you cannot see it coming. And I can follow a Magnate's plan. I'm telling everyone, you have a way to play black. Death Overseer is still a great tech card to have right now in this current meta. And that's another thing that makes me excited about when you have a meta, you can talk about cards that you should be playing in a current meta. Like we had a lot of top decks, but I feel like now because we never truly had an established meta, you just pretty much played what you thought would win, and you never had to think about what decks are being brought. I feel that's why, again, I will keep saying this over and over again. Set 5 is probably the best set in Alpha Clash because we're establishing a meta now. When you build your deck, you have to consciously think I need to run X amount of cards to deal with X amount of threats that my current deck can't handle. Death Overseer to be able to banish cards, this is a great tech card to have. Accessory removal is a great card to have. Sharpshooter Moxie, great card to have. And like I said, now you have slots that you can have in your deck. So again, we even look at the card database. I would say almost any deck that can find a way to play black needs to be running Bad Omen. Bad Omen is a great card that stops draw. And then you also have From the Shadows, which is a great constant removal card. So again, I feel like these two cards are staples in black. So when you're building your deck and you're running black, these cards should immediately go in there. One of each. Then you have Death Blades that are a big card for black as well, for clarity and death. This card is a staple card for black, in my opinion. So when you define what staple cards are going to be in each color, you can now go ahead and say, well, these colors will have these cards. So again, I know red is going to have some type of Torque and Boom in there. So when I'm building my deck, I need to find a way to play around Torque and Boom. So you have things like Cybernetic Recall that returns all 1 cost or less back to hand. You have Sinister Assistance. You have so many cards that can deal with 1 cost or less. And again, that's why I said I feel like this meta is extremely healthy and I am loving it. But again, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. I just wanted to be a short video to discuss the ban. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you using the word ban, not ban, errata on Genesis and Accelerator. And just get your guys' opinions about, I know a lot of people are excited for this, but I want people to know you can still play this. Genesis is still playable. Change it up a little bit and let's have fun at Nationals. But until next time, this has been Ryotin.